We recently did a live on Tom Hanks and whether or not he's just as bad or possibly worse than, Diddy. Now, years ago, we had also done a segment on him, but it wasn't to the extent of which we covered now. We had gone over some conspiracy theories more so back then, only to now realize that maybe they weren't really conspiracy theories at all. A recently unearthed video, which seems to be taken off Instagram, by the way. We went to check, it's no longer available. So it might be available on Twitter after all now, but it's no longer on Instagram, at least from the person that posted it. The video is of Tom Hanks with a little girl at a pageant, if you will.
I think the only person who can beat Sophie is Sophie.
And in this pageant, he says some things to the little individual that was a little bit disturbing. We're using words like sexy, and to a 7-year-old, mind you, pertaining to her outfit and how she was moving, and he was mimicking those same movements off stage and encouraging her to do the same things, even to the point where he grabbed her dress and was waltzing around with it. And
sexy baby, you are such a sexy baby. I'm proud of you, proud of you.
It was very unsettling. Now, to the normal eye, people might think, well, he's just participating. It's kind of like daddies that have kids paint their nails, or like fathers who dress up in tutus to be a male princess for the daughters. Those are also disturbing. I don't want to have you get anything confused here. Any father that allows his daughter to paint their nails, I'm going to tell you now, that's a no-no. You dressing up in a tutu, it's confusing, not just for the child, but it's also not something a male should do. So I'm going to make sure we get that out the way before someone say, well, that's okay. No, it's not. Just remember that. But with Tom, he takes things way left field. The terminology he uses to address this child, who he says in this thing is his daughter, whether or not he has one is insignificant to the topic, because it is a little girl that he says was his daughter. That's what we're going to go with. You do not address your child like that. You simply do not address even a small minor like that. That's inappropriate. You see, that tells us, one, and he was so comfortable, you can say, well, he's an actor. Even in acting, that should be something you say, you know what, I don't act that way even. I refuse to even put myself in the acting category when it comes to that topic. Now, we've seen this kind of behavior before from actors, and they will pass it off as, I was just doing a role. The Rock did it when he was doing his molester robot thing. Right? There were a whole bunch of them that do this exact same thing and say it's just a joke. We know that Bob Saget made multiple jokes along the same lines, and everybody was saying, well, maybe you are one. He was saying, oh, it's just a joke. In this instance, Tom Hanks has been around enough people that have affiliations with that type of lifestyle for us to think that maybe, just maybe, this was not a joke. Daughter or no daughter, perhaps, maybe this was something he was alluding to that he actually did with this child. Some things that he actually participated in some sort of nefarious activity with. When we look at his friend circle, it's a hodgepodge of crazy people. Let's just put it this way. Between Ellen, Maria Abramovich, Lady Gaga, Jay-Z. Quite the conglomeration of people, all who have had accusations hoisted at them along the same exact lines. People like Jay-Z have been affiliated with people like Diddy, who also have the affiliation of having done things with kids. Now remember, Jay-Z, although it wasn't 7 years old, he was also accused of having certain inappropriate relationships with younger singers to try and get them who signed 14, 15, 16 years old. So again, there's affiliations there. You have people like Ellen DeGeneres who have, let's just be honest, her set during her show seemed an awful lot like Epstein Island. You have people like Lady Gaga, who, let's just be honest, also is a very weird one that has some tendencies along the same lines, and people are unsure as to whether or not she's actually a male or female. Your circle will tell me a lot about you. Your expression will tell me a lot about you, and what you say tells me even more. Tom Hanks has been telling people a whole lot. You can even go so far back as Isaac Cappy, who accused him of actually being one of those people who abuses children. What happened next was nothing short of crazy. Tom Hanks started taking pictures of these random gloves and shoes laying all over the place called lost things, and he posted them all over his Twitter account. And one day he just stopped, and a month before Isaac Cappy shows up, expired, he posts a picture of gloves and some random stuff around and calls it roadkill on Route 66, and it's the exact same spot, short of a mile, where Isaac Cappy would eventually show up dead. Coincidence? Yeah, it's pretty Look, I believe in some coincidence. I'm not going to lie. Like, coincidentally, I stubbed my toe on the same thing that someone else stubbed their toe on. Maybe it's the thing's fault. Coincidentally, it was. That's different than, hey, coincidentally, I went and took a picture of a glove laying on the ground about a month before someone who didn't like me took their life. And it was almost the exact same spot. That's not coincidence. That almost seems planned. While we don't have proof to that, we have two eyes and a fairly functioning brain, I'd like to think, that we can kind of add 1 and 1 and get 2. Some people want us to add 1 and 1 and get 18. In this case, it's 2. You went to almost the exact same spot, called it roadkill, and you're assuming by roadkill, something was there, something died. And lo and behold, a month later, that exact same person. And then, of course, you have this whole debacle with him leaving the country to go to Greece just after Epstein gets offed. And the names list is threatened to be dropped. You disappear to a country and posts a photo of you right there with the prime minister, kind of like a flex. Y'all see where I'm at. You see who I'm friends with. You probably don't want to try and get me. And it's kind of been radio silence since. A couple of movies here and there, made some money, but still not here. Become a citizen of Greece. Like I said, your actions say a whole lot, and sometimes your actions prove some guilt. Not all guilt, but a lot of guilt. And in this case, way too much guilt, Tom. If you ever wanted to clear the air, you know what you could do? Speak up. But your silence is awful deafening in the sight and line of what we're seeing happening around you. We have only options right now is to assume, and we don't like to. But since you're not clarifying, we're going to assume, and we are assuming the worst at this point. Based on the people you know, based on your friends list, based on the interactions, and let's not forget, I almost forgot this one, but let's not forget the photo you posted with yourself, Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, with you having a weird little on your eye that looked almost like someone, clocked you a little bit, and you said, I'm not allowed to speak. You remember that one? These little things seem to pop up once in a while that just makes us like, Tom, what's going on, bro? What is the deal? What's the deal? Why is it that all these random stuff just pops up into your life and just all seem to link to stuff? Now, remember we talked about him and having this affiliation with Lady Gaga and Miss Abramovich. Now, y'all might think, what's the link there? I'll tell you the link there. Let's talk about that link real quick before we get to the climax of this topic. Now, y'all remember the great movie he did, right? Castaway. Now, I'll be honest. I was a massive fan of the movie Castaway. I have created fire. Remember that scene? Yeah.
I have created! I have made fire!
And then he discovered this ball because he was kind of losing his marbles. I wonder if that's more true to life than we think. Anyway, so he was losing his marbles and he ends up finding this volleyball and putting a palm print on it and scratching out some eyes and called it Wilson. Lo and behold, there's a person that pops up in a gala meet and dressed up almost like Wilson and on red, face red, hair, a whole lady in red. Who was that? Lady Gaga. Lo and behold, 2 other people show up, the same exact friends in his circle. Jay-Z, shirt, Wilson. Same exact shirt, DeGeneres, Wilson. All of them have dealings with this Abramovich lady who has a history of doing some very nefarious things with not just paintings, but the theory is with minors. Again, Tom, these are the kind of things that you should probably try to put to rest because these are very, very, very deep accusations. I mean, they're big. It's not like someone saying that you're a bad actor and you just don't need to address it because you can outact their accusations. This is far-reaching. This is something about who you are as a person, not as an actor. This is stuff that could be borderline illegal. And in a lot of cases, fully illegal. And your name is tied into this as we speak. And your actions suggest that you definitely do have a hand in it, or at least affiliations with it. Conspiracy theories aside, all of that could be put aside if you would just say what exactly your role in all of this was. Everything from the jokes you make, to the friends you keep, to the movies you choose, to the symbolisms in it. Heck, we can go through half your movies and find some crazy symbolisms. In Big, the 9/11 reference. Cast Away, this particular pedophilic kind of reference there too. In Forrest Gump, the whole Baphomet symbol on your chest. All of these things go around all the time, and people just kind of, we're brushing it off because it's just a movie. But it's always you. At the end of the day, we don't know. And that's the biggest thing. We don't know. But as humans, we are presented information, we decipher it, we weigh it against our moral compass, and then we decide whether or not we view you a certain way or not. And right now, the consensus is, our view is that you are not a good person. Put it to rest. Prove us wrong. Otherwise, both you and Wilson might be permanently lost. And at this point, not even FedEx can bring you back.